What's going on, guys? Mega Gig back with another video. Today we are taking a look at the Charged Barb again. This time it's the 6-piece Immortal King set, 4-piece Raycore set. Now this build is more of the speed version. It always has been. It revolves more around doing damage with Furious Charge rather than Ancient Spear or Seismic Slam. And this build suffers from the same lack of toughness that the first one did that I was, constantly going on about. Of the two, this build is more fun, in my opinion, but the other one does do a lot more damage. I have done an 85 on this build, but it was very, very hard. Mob types are key with this build. Ranged mobs, especially, are going to murder you. And since all of your damage is really revolving around Furious Charge, if, for example, you get the Skeleton King Rift Guardian, he likes to summon one minion at a time, and if you're only hitting 2 minions or 2 enemies, you're not going to get your charges refunded on this, and it's going to stagnate your damage down to almost nothing. But it is a great T13 farming rift. I don't have any keys, so in this video we are going to go through a T13. I'll show you how it does there, and then I'll go ahead and attempt an 85 as well. Now I will say the PTR server has been crashing on me and disconnecting me left and right trying to make videos, so if some point down the road I have to crop out the end of this video and then put on another end because I've had to come back and try again later, that's just because I don't want to keep refilming this intro part going over the gear over and over and over and over. So yeah, well, without further ado, let's look at the changes. So we've changed our pants and our top piece to give us the we're now wearing 5 pieces of the Immortal King set, and we're only wearing 3 pieces of the Raycore set. So we lose the 6-piece bonus, where our Fury spinning attacks are buffed, so our Seismic Slam is no longer being buffed by that. Instead, we are gaining a constant 750 increase in damage, 750% increase in damage while Wrath of the Berserker and Call the Ancients is active. So while both of these are active, we get a bonus of 750% boost. And I said Immortal King's pants, but those are still the Raycore's pants. You can see there, though, we've got the torso, head, hands, two-handed, and waist of the Immortal King set, and then the legs, feet, and shoulders of the Raycore set. So these do kind of look alike, though, the little pictures. And I will say this armor does go together fairly nicely. But anyways, that's what we've changed with the gear. We are now wearing our Ancient Parthan Defenders. We're actually wearing them. I don't have one that has physical skills on it, unfortunately, because this is a physical build here and here. In the cube, we've changed a couple of things. We're now using Standoff, and again, we are not using the Furnace. The Standoff changes Furious Charge now deals an increase damage equal to 500% of your bonus movement speed. So movement speed in this build is very, very good. I have actually used the Wreath of Lightning gem to get more movement speed instead of Bane of the Stricken, and it worked up until Greater Rift 80. It worked on a Greater Rift 80, but when I went in and tried the 85 later on, I just couldn't do any damage to the Rift Guardian. Even with this ended up being a better gem. So if you're farming, if you're running through a T13, you want to use the Wreath of Lightning gem. When you really start trying to push Greater Rifts, say you just love this build and this is going to be your pushing build, you're going to need a Bane of the Stricken, and you can't really forego Bane of the Trapped. It's just too good of a gem. And you can't get rid of Esoteric Alteration because you're just so squishy with this build. I mean, you can try it, but you're going to die lots and lots of times. I die enough as it is. So yeah, but we are using Standoff And we are also using Vile Ward. Furious Charge deals 35% increased damage for every enemy hit while charging. So you basically, with Battle Rage here, with the new Bloodshed rune, you just destroy big, dense mobs. And of course, we're using Ring of Royal Grandeur, so we can get the 6-piece set bonus and 4-piece set bonus here, while only wearing 3 and 5 pieces. For the skills, we're using Rampage. I've foregone some damage for as much toughness as I can get, because again, we are very, very squishy. So Rampage gives us a nice damage boost and toughness, because strength does give you toughness as well. We're using Relentless. This skill is very, very nice with this build. While below 35% life, all skills cost 50% less Fury, and Fury spent, life per Fury spent is doubled, and all damage taken is reduced. So this, coupled with Esoteric, when you take a lot of damage and you get really low, you kind of have a bit of a window to cast your Fury Spender if you're using this, or Ancient Spear. Ancient Spear Boulder Toss, and you dump all your Fury. This is going to allow your Fury spent, life for Fury spent, to be doubled, and basically heal you all the way up. With this current build, I have 2,200 life per Fury spent. So when that's active, that's 4,400 life per Fury spent. And yeah, and we have a lot of Fury. We have 204 between our gear, and then we're also using Animosity to increase our maximum Fury as well. That helps us generate more Fury and heal up more. Because Seismic Slam isn't really doing a ton of damage with this build, you could get rid of Animosity for something like maybe Bloodthirst. And I guess that would kind of even out. Each point of Fury spent heals you for another 966 life. So it's just more life per Fury spent, and then heal amount is increased. You could also use Inspiring Presence. The duration of your shouts is doubled after using a shout. You and your allies... wait, no, we're not using shouts. Never mind. Forget that part. Sorry, I was thinking of the other build. Sorry. No, don't use Inspiring Presence. You could use Bloodthirst. If you wanted, you could go with Berserker Rage. These are all options depending on what you want to use. You know, we might go ahead and switch to Bloodthirst and see how it does, because we used Animosity previously, and just to show you that you can use others. So we'll look, our life per Fury spent is now 3164, and that'll be doubled when we're under 35% health. And I also have the Superstition passive from my Hellfire Amulet. And here we can see the Superstition passive reduces all non-physical damage by 20%. When taking damage from ranged or elemental attack, you have a chance to gain 2 Fury. So this is just another damage reducer that really helps out. The skills have been changed a little bit. We're still using Seismic Slam, Rumble to dump all of our Fury. Battle Rage, Bloodshed, Furious Charge, Merciless Assault. Recharge time is reduced by 2 seconds for every enemy hit. And then we're using Sprint Marathon. The Marathon rune increased movement speed up to 40% for 4 seconds. So more movement speed means more damage for our Furious Charge because of our standoff weapon here in the cube. Then we're using Call of the Ancients together as one. 50% of damage dealt is instead divided between you and your Ancients, and then Wrath of the Berserker and Insanity. These are a must for this build to benefit from the 750% increased damage buff. Now, we will go ahead, since we're going to run the T13 first, and since this is YouTube, you don't have to watch the whole thing. You can fast forward if you like. And then we're going to run a Greater Rift. Hopefully we don't get disconnected in any of this stuff. So we've swapped out to our Aretha Lightning Gem for this. Now, I will say Sprint is kind of a pain to keep up, to remember to keep casting every 4 seconds. I like to do the numlock trick with it. So I'll go ahead and briefly explain that. Go into Options, Key Bindings, scroll down, And as you can see, sprint is on number 2. So on key 2, I have it set to numpad 1. And basically, you turn numlock on, make sure numlock is on, and then you hit the skill. So I'll hit the number 1 key on my numpad, hold it down, and then hit the numlock button to turn numlock off. And then sprint will be set. You can see it's still saying not enough fury to cast this spell. It's trying to cast it. And so we're going to just hold down our number 1 key most of the time to charge. But then whenever we let off to dump our fury and activate our Bastion's Will set for the damage spender bonus, then this will recast. And so this will basically always be active and you don't have to worry about it. So let's go ahead, we'll jump into a T13 and I will show you what I mean. You also want to be dumping your fury for 2 reasons, or 3 really, to heal you up, activate the 50% damage bonus on fury spending attack from this, and then you're also resetting your cooldown on Wrath of the Berserker. So let's get in here, activate our buffs, and then dump your fury, and you can see it takes a big chunk out of the cooldown time there. And you can see while we're spamming Furious Charge, we ran out of stacks there, being careless. Trying to talk and do this at the same time, as I've said, is difficult. It won't recast this, but as long as you're not holding down that, it's just going to constantly recast it. And you can see everything pretty much just dies. Wrong way. You do want to make sure Wrath of the Berserker stays up. That's how you get the big damage bonus, the 750% total. And make sure you're dumping your fury, again, to be resetting the cooldown on Wrath of the Berserker and to restore life, and also to activate your ring set bonus. Where are all those orbs? Come on now. Nice power shrine. Do even more damage. Now, you could take a lot of damage on T13. It's just fine. It's really the greater rifts later on that really get you. And you can see the damage is okay without Wrath of the Berserker. I let it drop there. But it's really much better with it. Obviously, you're getting the 750% bonus. And I can't seem to find my way. If you can't find mobs to keep dumping your fury, you're not going to be able to keep your Wrath of the Berserker up. Or your charge bonus. Maybe it's up here. Here we go. If you're on T13, losing your Wrath of Berserker for a minute isn't bad. If you're in a greater rift, you're going to be fighting enemies a lot more, so you're not really going to have to worry about running out of enemies to fight to keep your fury up. This floor isn't very good at all either. And of course we went way the wrong way. Maybe not way the wrong way, maybe it's this way. Now, someone in the comments may or may not know this, but I don't know if you can do 2 skills on for the numlock trick. I've never tried it, but if you wanted to do that with like your Wrath of the Berserker, you could. If you can do 2 skills. I'm not sure if you can or not. But normally, you're fighting enemies enough, and by the time you are at full fury and then dump all your fury, you're gonna reset your Wrath of Berserker. If I actually had enemies to fight. When you're in a greater rift, as you will see after this, you really need to be selective on the elites that you fight. Fire chains will decimate you very, very quickly. Basically, every time you get to full fury, dump your fury to reactivate your rings and to reset the cooldown on your Wrath of the Berserker. You don't need to keep casting your Call of the Ancients, of course. And it seems like I might have messed up my instant cast there. Now remember, Furious Charge, because of our Vile Ward shoulders in the cube, does deal even more damage when you're hitting a lot of enemies. So even if you're on the Rift Guardian and you can spam your charge on one target, it's still not doing as much damage as if it was on a bunch of targets. And because now we've only got 1 or 2 enemies around, we can't keep our stacks going. There we go. So that was a pretty crappy rift. There weren't very many enemies, but you can basically get the gist of how it works. Now we'll try it out on a greater rift and see what happens. And I'm just going to fast forward the video real quick through that countdown. Alright guys, we fast forwarded through the countdown time, and then I completely screwed up when I started the rift anyways. I forgot to change back to my Bane of the Stricken, so wasted a key. But let's get in now and see what we can do. Go ahead and get our numlock trick going, get our buffs going, and fire chains are bad. And you can see we've already triggered our passive to save our life. So remember what I said in the regular Nephilim Rift. You have to be very careful on the enemies you decide to fight, or the elite packs you decide to fight. Because of your damage, because you're going to have to be right in the middle of everything all the time, and it's not like Leapquake where you can jump in and out and you're still doing damage. You cannot take damage from things like fire chains, yeah, these ranged attacks really hurt too. Oh, ow, ow, ow. And things like you know, beams, arcane enchanted beams. And we just got our passive triggered again. Try and run away from all that stuff for a moment. Remember, you want to reactivate your Wrath of the Berserker all the time, because you want to be working on the cooldown. So normally before you dump Fury, if you can activate it, go ahead and reactivate it. Where did the gold go? I don't see him. Did we kill him? Nope, there he is. He's about dead. But we're running out of stacks now because we don't have enough enemies to hit. And herein lies one of the main weaknesses of this build. However, you can clear big mobs pretty quick. Blues aren't generally too bad to fight. Now, the only way I will reset this is if... we're not going to reset if we fail, because I just want to show you guys how it works. But if we get disconnected, then obviously I'll reset, and you guys will never even know. You can kind of line up the enemies a little bit if you want. We get knocked down. Our life gets knocked all the way down so quick. So quick. If you like, you don't even have to fight elites. I mean, you can try and clear it completely on trash alone, but the rift probably won't be long enough. You'll probably get to floor 5. I don't know if floor 5 is the maximum number of floors that there are, but many times when I've gotten as far as floor 5 or maybe floor 6, I can't remember, then you end up at the end of the floor and you have to backtrack. But this elite pack didn't seem too bad. They just need to bunch up better so we can spam our charge on them. Don't want to get hit by the freezers. And yeah, we ran out of charges. There aren't enough there to keep resetting our charges, so we're going to have to skip them. Channeling Shrine is great on this build, because then you can spam, and actually let's go ahead and go back and take care of those guys while we can, because they were already kind of low. They'll take less time to kill than the yellow will. And darn, we're already out of that channeling shrine. We weren't able to kill these guys. And now we're not going to be able to at all, because there's only 2 of them and you can't reset your stacks. So unfortunately that was actually kind of a waste. Yep, as low as they are, we're going to have to skip them. Otherwise, we'll just be sitting there for 25 minutes. And I just realized our ancients were down to... Alright, these guys followed us. Maybe we will get them after all. Gonna try and bunch up some enemies here. There we go. We got one. We're not going to fight this guy because he's got all kinds of crap. And shielding. Density isn't super good on this floor, but it's not super bad either. It's kind of in the middle. Normally when you get these kinds of mobs, the density is really, really good. Kind of get them to bunch up here. Let's see, speed shrine, that's good, more damage for us. Let's see if we can't kind of draw in a bunch of enemies here. Too much ground damage. And we've been saved by our passive. Probably gonna die. Yep. There we go. I mean, we're not doing too bad time-wise. Just, the toughness just isn't there, guys. You don't have to redo your numlock trick when you die. At least most of the time. Alright, there went a blue. Let's see if we can see how low that yellow is. He's not very low. So we're just going to skip him. Like I said, guys, you do have to skip. You're more than likely going to have to skip some elite packs with this build. Not uncommon in Diablo 3 to have to skip elite packs with certain builds. This build is definitely going to be density dependent. If you get a greater rift with a lot of outside floors and you get really, really good density, you'll do a lot better than without density, obviously, with most builds. And there we triggered our passive from the exploding grotesques. The main reason I use Seismic Slam still on this build rather than Ancient Spear is because of the new passive of Battle Rage. You're wanting to do that... Oh, darn, we died. You're wanting to do that pop of damage, right? And it has... Seismic Slam has a larger area to hit, which gives you the option, or the... Not the option, gives you the potential to do more damage. And we already triggered our passive from the ranged mobs there. Yeah, ranged mobs are not fun with this build. Ranged mobs, anything that does a lot of damage on the ground. Man, so many ranged mobs. Ow, ow, ow. Alright, a shield shrine. Now we're talking. Because there are two elites here. Whoops. You're going to have to get a little bit lucky with this build, guys, to have everything work out in your favor if you want to push greater rifts. And we ran out of stacks. Let's see if we can't stack these guys up a little bit better. And this is kind of the problem with this build is you'll get enemies, you'll get elites down really low, but then there will be a couple of them still remaining, and it's not enough to reset your charge stacks. And now we ran out of our passive. And I don't think there's anything we're going to be able to do about this. Well, we got kind of lucky. This guy separated himself out. We can spam on him, at least until these other enemies come down. And then we die again. So the other charged barb definitely better for pushing. We're not going to worry about that yellow because he's not very low. Not to say this build doesn't have potential, but it's definitely more of the speed farming version. It clears out trash great. It's not so hot with elites. See if we can't bunch these guys up a little better. Yeah, and we got saved by our passive, which means we're probably going to die right here. Yep. And unfortunately we didn't get the reset on our Wrath of Berserker. It's not that this build doesn't have good damage, it's just now we got to get our Wrath of Berserker reset here. And we're already saved by our passive again. And I hit the wrong button. I meant to hit a potion. But you can see we're dying enough times that we're really running out of time. We'll see if we can get to the Rift Guardian off of this trash. Really, to have a better chance, we probably should have skipped more of the elite packs. But like I was saying earlier, you end up skipping too many, and you end up getting to the end of the rift with nothing to fight. So you can keep the Rift Guardian stunned. If you can keep him stunned, you'll survive. If not, you're going to get one-shotted just like that. Yeah, and we're dead again. So better Rift would have allowed us to complete it. But yeah, we just get hit once and we're already... Yeah. So we don't have the toughness. This is probably going to take forever. We'll give it one more go. I mean, you can do more like this, but it's really just going to take you forever to pump the damage out. Because you're not really doing damage any other way, and you're still going to get hit. And because you're only hitting one enemy, doing it this way really takes a long time to store up your to get up your fury. Yeah. So that's it, guys. We were unsuccessful on completing the 85. Time is up. A better rift, better mobs. Everything needs to work out a little more perfect for this build to work properly in greater rifts. Probably best to leave this build with the T13 farming. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. If there's something you guys think that you could do differently with this build that would make it more effective. You really need more toughness, and I'm not really sure where to get the toughness from. We already have a vitality gem here. We're already using ancient Parthian defenders, so the closest thing I could think of, but you're going to lose a lot of damage, is get rid of Vile Ward for Aquila Cuirass. Because you're going to be at full fury all the time except for when you dump this, but you'll be able to get back to full fury really quick, except for on the Rift Guardian. So yeah, I don't know, guys, but it's a really fun build when it comes to T13 farming. It did a Greater Rift 80 pretty good, It's really struggled on 85. And in my testing here, that's with the buffs, that's kind of how I've been doing. I've been starting out with like an 80, and most of these builds are doing really good. And then go ahead and jump straight up to 85. Some of them are struggling, some of them are doing okay. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What could I or you or somebody else do differently with this build to get more toughness? Remember, you have to keep the set bonuses. Yeah, are you guys going to play this build? Would you just go ahead and leave it in the T13s? Is there something you guys want to do or want to try that might make it a little more Greater Rift friendly? But that is the changes to the Immortal Kings version of this, the Immortal Kings Heavy version. I recommend numlocking Sprint. Like I said, still saying not enough Fury. And I don't know if you can do it with multiple skills or not. I don't think you can, but maybe you can. I don't know. Just numlock everything. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like and a comment if you did, and subscribe, guys, if you want to see more. Thanks, guys. More good stuff to come. Take care.